Okay, I think we are good to go. Judah intervenes. At this, Judah went up to him and said, "May it please my lord, let your servant have a word privately with my lord. Do not be angry with your servant, for you are like Pharaoh himself." My lord questioned his servants, "Have you father or brother?" And we said to my lord, "We have an old father and a younger brother born of his old age. His brother is dead, so he is the only one that by that mother now left, and his father loves him." Then he said to your servants, Bring him down to me so that I can set eyes on him." We replied to my lord, "The boy cannot leave his father. If he leaves him, his father will die." But you said to your servants, "If your youngest brother does not come down with you, you will not be admitted to my presence again." When we went back to your servant, my father, we repeated to him what my lord had said. So when our father said, "Go back and get us a little food," we said, "We cannot go down. We shall only if our youngest brother is with us. For unless our youngest brother is with us, we shall not be admitted to the man's presence." So your servant, our father, said to us, "You know that my wife bore me two children. When one of them left me, I supposed that he must have been torn to pieces, and I have never seen him since. If you take this one from me too, and any harm comes to him, you will send my white head down to Sheol with grief. If I go to your servant, my father, now, and we do not have this boy with us, he will die as soon as he sees that the boy is not with us, for his heart is bound up with him. And your servants will have sent your servant, our father's white head, down to Sheol with grief." Now your servant went surety to my father for the boy. I said, "If I do not bring him back to you, let me bear the blame before my father all my life. Let your servants stay then as my lord's slave in place of the boy, I implore you, and let the boy go back with his brothers. How indeed could I go back to my father and not have the boy with me? I cannot bear to see the misery that would overwhelm my father." Joseph makes himself known. Then Joseph could not control his feelings in front of all his retainers, and he exclaimed, "Let everyone leave me." No one, therefore, was present with him while Joseph made himself known to his brothers, but he wept so loudly that all the Egyptians heard, and the news reached Pharaoh's palace. Joseph said to his brothers, "I am Joseph. Is my father really still alive?" His brothers could not answer him. They were so dumbfounded at seeing him. Then Joseph said to his brothers, "Come closer to me." When they had come closer to him, "I am your brother Joseph, whom you sold into Egypt. But now do not grieve. Do not reproach yourselves for having sold me here, since God sent me before you to preserve your lives. For this is the second year there has been famine in the country, and there are still 5 years to come without plowing or harvest. God sent me before you to assure the survival of your race on earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So it was not so it was not you who sent me here, but God, and he has set me up as a father to Pharaoh, as lord of all his household and governor of the whole of Egypt. Return quickly to your father and tell him, your son Joseph says this: God has made me lord of all Egypt. Come down to me without delay. You will live in the region of Goshen, where you will be near me, you and your children and your grandchildren, your flocks, your cattle, and all your possessions. There I shall provide for you, for there are 5 years of famine still to come, so that you and your household and all yours are not reduced to penury. You can see with your own eyes, and my brother Benjamin can see too, that I am who I say I am. Give my father a full report of all the honor I enjoy in Egypt and of all you have seen, and quickly bring my father down here. Then, throwing his arms round the neck of his brother Benjamin, he wept, and Benjamin wept on his shoulder. He kissed all his brothers, weeping on each one. Only then were his brothers able to talk to him. Pharaoh's invitation. News reached Pharaoh's palace that Joseph's brothers had come, and Pharaoh was pleased to hear, as were his servants. Pharaoh told Joseph, say to your brothers, do this: load your beasts and hurry away to Canaan. Fetch your father and your families and come back to me. I will give you the best territory in Egypt, where you will live off the fat of the land. And you, for your part, give them this order: do this: take wagons from Egypt for your little ones and your wives. Get your father and come. Never mind about your property, for the best of all Egypt will be yours. Then return to Canaan. Israel's sons did as they were told. Joseph gave them wagons as Pharaoh had ordered, and he gave them provisions for their journey. To each and every one he gave new clothes, and to he Benjamin 300 shekels of silver and 5 changes of clothes. And to his father he sent 10 donkeys laden with the best that Egypt offered, and 10 she-donkeys laden with grain, bread, and food for his father's journey. And so he sent his brothers on their way. His final words to them were, and let there be no upsets on the way. And so they left Egypt. When they reached their father Jacob in Canaan, they gave him this report: Joseph is still alive. He is at this moment governor of all of Egypt. But he was once stunned, for he did not believe them. However, when they told him all Joseph had said to them, and when he saw the wagons that Joseph had sent to fetch him, the spirit of their father Jacob revived, and Israel said, that is enough. My son Joseph is still alive. I must go and see him before I die. Jacob leaves for Egypt. So Israel set out with all his possessions. Arriving at Beersheba, he offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. God spoke to Israel in a vision at night. Jacob, Jacob, he said. Here I am, he replied. I am El, God of your father. He said, do not be afraid of going down to Egypt, for I will make you into a great nation there. I shall go down to Egypt with you, and I shall bring you back again, and Joseph's hand will close your eyes. So Jacob left Beersheba. Israel's sons conveyed their father Jacob, their little children, and their wives in the wagons Pharaoh had sent to fetch them. Taking their livestock and all they had acquired in Canaan, they arrived in Egypt, Jacob and all his offspring. With him to Egypt he brought his sons and grandsons, his daughters and granddaughters, all his offspring. Jacob's family. They were the name of the Israelites, Jacob and his descendants who arrived in Egypt. Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and the sons of Reuben, Hanak, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. The sons of Simeon, Jemul, Jamin, Ohad, Jashin, Zohar, Shau, the son of the Canaanite woman. The sons of Levi, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. The sons of Judah, Onan, Shelah, Perez, and Zerah. And Onan had died in Canaan. And Hezron and Hamul, sons of Perez. The sons of Issachar, Tola, Puva, Jeshub, and Shimron. And the sons of Zebulun, Sered, Elon, and Jalil. These were the sons that Leah had borne to Jacob in Padan Aram, beside his daughter Dinah. In all, his sons and daughters numbered 33. The sons of Gad: Ziphion, Haggai, Shuni, Esbon, Eri, Aradi, and Areli. The sons of Asher: Jimnah, Jishva, Jishvi, Bariam, with their sister Sarah. The sons of Bariam: Heber and Malchiel. These were the sons of Zilpah, whom Laban gave to his daughter Leah. She bore these to Jacob, 16 persons. The sons of Rachel, wife of Jacob: Joseph and Benjamin. Born to Joseph in Egypt were Manasseh and Ephraim, sons of Asenath, daughter of Potipherah, priest of On. The sons of Benjamin: Bela, Becher, Ashbel, Gera, Naaman, Ehi, Rosh, Mupin, Hupim, and Ard. These were the sons that Rachel bore to Jacob, 14 persons in all. The sons of Dan: Hushim. The sons of Naphtali: Jeziel, Guni, Jezer, and Shalom. These are the sons of Bilhah, whom Laban gave to his daughter Rachel. She bore these to Jacob, 7 persons in all. All of the members of Jacob's family who arrived with him in Egypt, his own issue, not counting the wives of Jacob's sons, numbered 66 all told. With Joseph's sons born to him in Egypt, 2 persons, the members of Jacob's family who went to Egypt, totaled 70. Joseph welcomes them. Israel sent Judah ahead to Joseph, so that Judah might present himself to Joseph in Goshen. When they arrived in Goshen, Joseph had his chariot made ready and went up to Goshen to meet his father Israel. As soon as he appeared, he threw his arms round his neck and for a long time wept on his shoulder. Israel said to Joseph, "Now I can die, now that I have seen you in person and seen you still alive." Then Joseph said to his brothers and his father's family, "I shall go back and break the news to Pharaoh. I shall tell him, 'My brothers and my father's family who were in Canaan have come to me. The men are shepherds and look after livestock, and they have brought their flocks and cattle and other possessions.' Thus, when Pharaoh summons you and asks, 'What is your occupation?' you are to say, 'Ever since our boyhood, your servants have looked after livestock, we and our fathers before us, so that you can stay in the Goshen region, for the Egyptians have a horror of all shepherds." Pharaoh grants an audience. So Joseph went and told Pharaoh, "My brothers and my father and brothers have arrived from Canaan with their flocks, cattle, and other possessions. Here they are in the region of Goshen." He had taken 5 of his brothers, and he now presented them to Pharaoh. Pharaoh asked his brothers, "What is your occupation?" And they gave Pharaoh the answer, "Your servants are shepherds, like our fathers before us." And went on and told, and they went on to tell Pharaoh, "We have come to stay in this country for the time being, since there is no pasturage for your servants' flocks, Canaan being stricken with famine. So now please allow your servants to settle in the region of Goshen." Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "They may stay in the region of Goshen, and if you know any capable men among them, put them in charge of my own livestock." Another version. Jacob and his sons went to Egypt where Joseph was. Pharaoh, king of Egypt, heard about this and said to Joseph, "Your fathers and brothers have come to you. The country of Egypt is open to you. Settle your father and brothers in the best region." Joseph brought his father and presented him to Pharaoh. Jacob paid his respects to Pharaoh. Pharaoh asked Jacob, "How many years have you lived?" Jacob said to Pharaoh, "The years of my stay on earth add up to 130 years. Few and unhappy my years have been, falling short of my ancestors' years in their stay on the earth." Jacob then took leave of Pharaoh and withdrew from his presence. Joseph then settled his fathers and brothers, giving them land holdings in Egypt. in the best part of the country, the region of Ramses, as Pharaoh had ordered. Joseph provided his father, brothers, and all his father's family with food, down to the least of them. Joseph's agrarian policy. And on all the earth around there was now no food anywhere, for the famine had grown very severe, and Egypt and Canaan were both weak with hunger. Joseph accumulated all the money to be found in Egypt and Canaan in exchange for the supplies being handed out, and put the money in Pharaoh's palace. When all the money in Egypt and Canaan was exhausted, all the Egyptians came to Joseph pleading, "Give us food, unless you want us to die before your eyes, for our money has come to an end." Joseph replied, "Hand over your livestock, and I will issue you food in exchange for your livestock if your money has come to an end." So they brought their livestock to Joseph, and Joseph gave them food in exchange for horses and livestock, whether sheep or cattle, and for donkeys. Thus he saw them through the year with food in exchange for all their livestock. When that year was over, they came to him the next year and said, "We cannot hide it from my lord. The truth is, our money has run out, and the livestock is in my lord's possession. There is nothing left for my lord except our bodies and our land. If we and our land are not to perish, take us and our land in exchange for food, and we with our land will become Pharaoh's serfs. Only give us seed so that we can survive and not die, and the land not revert to desert." Thus Joseph acquired all the land in Egypt for Pharaoh, since one by one the Egyptians sold their fields, so hard pressed were they by famine, and the whole country passed into Pharaoh's possession. While the people he reduced to serfdom from one end of Egypt to the other. The only land he did not acquire belonged to the priests, for the priests received an allowance from Pharaoh and lived on the allowance that Pharaoh gave to them. Hence, they had no need to sell their land. Then Joseph said to the people, "This is how we stand. I have bought you out with your land on Pharaoh's behalf. Here is seed for you to sow the land, but of the harvest you must give a fifth to Pharaoh. The other four fifths you can have for sowing your fields, to provide food for yourselves and your households, and food for your children." "You have saved our lives," they replied. If it please my lord, we will become serfs to you, Pharaoh." So Joseph made a law, still in force today, as regards to the soils of Egypt, that one fifth should go to Pharaoh. Only the land of the priests did not go to Pharaoh. Jacob's last wishes. Thus Israel settled in Egypt, in the region of Goshen. They acquired property there. They were fruitful and grew very numerous. Jacob lived 17 years in Egypt. Thus Jacob's total age came to 147 years. When Israel's time to die drew near, he sent for his son Joseph and said to him, "If you really love me, place your hand under my thigh as pledge that you will act with faithful love towards me. Do not bury me in Egypt. When I lie down with my ancestors, carry me out of Egypt and bury me in their tomb." "I shall do as you say," he replied to me. "Swear to me," he insisted. So he swore to him, and Israel sank back on the pillow. Jacob adopts Joseph's two sons and blesses them. Sometime later, Joseph was informed, "Your father has been taken ill." So he took with him two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. When Jacob was told, "Look, your son Joseph has come to you," Israel, summoning his strength, sat up in bed. El Shaddai appeared to me at the Luz in Canaan. Jacob told Joseph, and he blessed me, saying to me, "I shall make you fruitful and numerous, and shall make you into an assembly of peoples, and give this country to your descendants after you, to own in perpetuity. Now, your two sons born to you in Egypt, before I came to you in Egypt, shall be mine. Ephraim and Manasseh shall be as much as mine as Reuben and Simeon. But with regard to the children ye have had since them, they shall be yours, and they shall be known by their brothers' names for the purpose of their inheritance. When I was on my way from Padan, to my sorrow death took for took your mother. Rachel for me in Canaan. On the journey, while only a short distance from Ephrath, I buried her there on the road to Ephrath, now Bethlehem. When Israel saw Joseph's two sons, he asked, "Who are these?" "They are my two sons whom God has given me here," Joseph told his father. "Then bring them to me," he said, "so that I may bless them." Now Israel's eyes were dim with age, and he could not see. So Joseph made them come closer to him, and he kissed and embraced them. Then Israel said to Joseph, "I did not think I should ever see you again, and now God has let me see your children as well." Then Joseph took them from his lap and bowed to the ground. Then Joseph took the two of them, Ephraim with his right hand, so that he should be on Israel's left, and Manasseh with his left, so that he should be on Israel's right, and brought them close to him. But Israel held out his right hand and laid it on the hand of Ephraim the younger, and his left on the head of Manasseh. And crossing his hands, Manasseh was in fact the elder. Then he blessed Joseph, saying, "May the God in whose presence my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked, the God who has been my shepherd from my birth until this day, the angel who has saved me from all harm, bless these boys, so that my name may live on in them, in the name of my ancestors Abraham and Isaac, and they grow into teeming multitudes on earth." Joseph saw that his father was laying his right hand on the hand of Ephraim, and this he thought was wrong. So he took his father's hands and tried to shift it from the head of Ephraim to the hand of Manasseh. Joseph protested to his father, "Not like that, father. This one is the elder. Put your right hand on his head." But his father refused. "I know, my son, I know. He shall too become a people. He too will be great. But his younger brother will be greater. His offspring will be sufficient to constitute nations." So he blessed them that day, saying, "By you shall Israel bless itself," saying, "God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh," putting Ephraim before Manasseh. Then Israel said to Joseph, "Now I am about to die, but God will be with you and take you back to the lands of your ancestors. As for me, I give you a Shechem more than your brothers, the one I took from the Amorites with my sword and bow." Jacob's testament. Jacob called his sons and said, "Gather round, so that I can tell you what is in store for you in the final days. Gather round, sons of Jacob, and listen to Israel, your father. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my vigor, and the first fruit of my manhood. Foremost in pride, foremost in strength, uncontrolled as water, you would not be foremost. For you climbed into your father's bed, and so defiled my couch to my sorrow. Simeon and Levi are brothers in carrying out their malicious plans. May my soul not enter their counsel, nor my heart join their companies, for in their rage they have killed men and hamstrung oxen at their whim. Accursed be their rage for its ruthlessness, their wrath for its ferocity. I shall disperse them in Jacob, I shall scatter them through Israel. Judah, your brothers will praise you. You grip your enemies by the neck, your father's sons will do you homage. Judah is the lion's whelp. You stand over your prey, my son, like a lion. He crouches and lies down, a mighty lion. Who dare rouse him? The scepter shall not pass from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until tribute be brought him, and the peoples render him obedience. He tethers his donkey to the vine, to it stalks the foal of his she donkey. He washes his clothes in wine, his robes in the blood of the grape. His eyes are darkened with wine, and his teeth are white like milk with milk. Zebulun will live by the seashore and be a sailor on board the ships, with Sidon on his flank. Issachar is a strong donkey, lying down among sheepfolds. When he saw how good the resting place and how pleasant the country, he bowed his shoulder to the load and became a slave to forced labor. Dan will govern his people like any other of the tribes of Israel. May Dan be a snake on the road, a viper on the path, whose bite the horse on the hawk, so that its riders fall off backwards. I long for your deliverance, Yahweh. God will be raided by raiders, and he will raid at their heels. Rich, the food produced by Asher, he will furnish food fit for kings. Naphtali is a swift hind, bearing lovely fawns. Joseph is a fruitful plant near a spring, whose tendrils reach over the wall. Archers in their hostility drew their bows and attacked him, but their bows were broken by a mighty one. The sinews of their arms were snapped. By the power of the mighty one of Jacob, by the name of the stone of Israel, the God of of your father who assists you, El Shaddai who blesses you, blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep lying below, blessings of the rest and womb, blessings of the grain and flowers, blessings of the eternal mountains, bounty of the everlasting hills. May they descend on Joseph's head, on the crown of the one dedicated from among his brothers. Benjamin is a ravening wolf. In the morning he devours the prey. In the evening he is still sharing out the spoil. All these make up the tribes of Israel, 12 in number, and that is what their father said to them as he bade them farewell, giving each an appropriate blessing. Jacob's last moments in death. Then he gave him these instructions: I'm about to be gathered to my people. Bury me with my ancestors in the cave that is in the field of Hephron the Hittite, in the cave in the field of at Machpelah, facing Mamre in Canaan, which Abraham bought from Ephron the Hittite as a burial site of his own. There Abraham and his wife Sarah were buried. There Isaac and his wife Rebekah were buried. And there I buried Leah. The field and the cave in it, which were bought from the Hittites. When Jacob had finished giving instructions to his sons, he drew his feet up into bed, and breathing his last, was gathered to his people. Jacob's funeral. At this, Joseph threw himself on his father's face, covering it with tears and kisses. Then Joseph ordered the doctors in his service to embalm his father. The doctors embalmed Israel, and it took them 40 days, for embalming takes 40 days to complete. The Egyptians mourned for him for 70 days. When the period of mourning for him was over, Joseph said to Pharaoh's household, if you have any affection for me, see that this message reaches Pharaoh's ears. My father put me under oath, saying, I'm about to die. In the tomb which I dug for myself in Canaan, that is where you are to bury me. So may I have to leave to go up and bury my father and then come back. Pharaoh replied, go up and bury your father, as he made you swear to do. Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went all of Pharaoh's officials and the dignitaries of his palace and all the dignitaries of Egypt, as well as Joseph's family, his brothers, and his father's family. The only people they left behind in Goshen were those unfit to travel, and their flocks and cattle. Chariots and horsemen went up with them too. It was a very large retinue. On arriving at Goren Ha'atad, which is across the Jordan, they there held a long and solemn lamentation, and Joseph observed 7 days mourning for his father. When the Canaanites, the local inhabitants, witnessed the mourning at Goren Hatad, they said, this is a solemn act of mourning by the Egyptians, which is why the place was given the name Abel Mizraim. It is across the Jordan. His sons did what he ordered them to do. His sons carried him to Canaan and buried him in the cave in the field at Machpelah, facing Mamre, which Abraham had bought from Ephron the Hittite as a burial site of his own. Then Joseph returned to Egypt with his brothers and all those who came up with him to bury his father. From the death of Jacob to the death of Joseph. Seeing their father was dead, Joseph's brothers said, what if Joseph intends to treat us as enemies and pay us back for all the wrong we did to him? So they sent this message to Joseph. Before your father died, he gave us this order. You are to say to Joseph, now please forgive the crime and faults of your brothers and all the wrong they did to you. They did you. So now please forgive the crime of your servants, of your father's God. Joseph wept at the message they sent to him. Then his brothers went up to him themselves, and throwing themselves at his feet, said, "Take us as your slaves." But Joseph replied, "Do not be afraid. It is for me to put myself in God's place. The evil you planned to do to me has by God's design been turned to good, to bring about the present result, the survival of a numerous people. So there is no need to be afraid. I shall provide for you and your dependents." In this way, he reassured them by speaking affectionately to them. So Joseph stayed in Egypt with his father's family, and Joseph lived 110 years. Joseph saw the third generation of Ephraim's line, and also the children of Machir, son of Manasseh, who were born on Joseph's lap. At length Joseph said to his brothers, "I am about to die, but God will be sure to remember you kindly and take you out of this country to the country which he promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." And Joseph put Israel's sons on oath, saying, "When God remembers you with kindness, be sure to take my bones away from here." Joseph died at the age of 110. He was embalmed and laid in a coffin in Egypt.